Without exception, participants in this study are advocates of specialized middle-level teacher preparation. They see it as critical to the success of young adolescent students. In addition, they see it as critical for middle-level teachers whose confidence, effectiveness, and efficacy are increased when they feel knowledgeable about what and whom they are teaching. In addition, when middle-level teachers are knowledgeable about young adolescents and the programs needed to serve them, they are better positioned to lead innovative efforts on behalf of their students. If they come to the profession knowledgeable about their content, the developmental age group they will be teaching, and effective teaching approaches, they do not have to make up ground trying to learn these aspects of teaching before they can move forward as leaders.
Many of our study participants have been involved in teacher education in universities. From that vantage point, they've been able to observe progress in middle-level teacher education over time. However, they are also in a position to see that the potential for providing the very best preparation and continuing education has not yet been realized. Dickinson described the complexity of the issue.
I don't think you can underestimate the problems and difficulties that have been visited upon this movement by the lack of, across the board, across the 50 states, separate and distinct teacher preparation and teacher licensure standards. You cannot create and sustain any educational endeavor without appropriate preparation. And throughout the history of this movement, teachers that teach in it have been prepared for other developmental ages or prepared differently for subject matter orientations rather than a combination between children and knowledge. And it's been one of those handicaps that continues to revisit itself. You'll have certain states like North Carolina or Ohio or Georgia that will be in the vanguard, and then you'll have other states. And I don't think anymore that it's really a problem with the universities and deans and provosts. At one time it was, but it's not now. Now it's with a cadre of people at the state levels who are on licensure boards, who are in political power positions that don't want to turn around and have anything but the flexibility to put a warm body in front of a classroom regardless of whether they're qualified or not. And I think that's where we are, and I find it shameful. There are other terms that Ken and I have used, including malpractice. And it really is. If you're prepared to turn around and teach young children, you should teach young children. If you're prepared to teach older adolescents in separate subjects, you should do that. We shouldn't be all in the middle in a dumping ground. And I think that's one of the big problems. And continues to haunt us even to today, despite of a large number of people's best efforts.
Gatewood, George, Lipsitz, Lounsbury, McEwen, and Vars suggested that the failure of the middle school movement to advocate for and establish specialized middle school teacher education programs early became a barrier to maximizing progress. George provided that a part of the mistake was that he and others thought they needed to work on establishing quality middle schools first so that pre-service teachers could be placed in those schools during their field experiences. Now, in retrospect, he believes those efforts should have been parallel rather than sequential. McEwen stated that after all these years, he has tried to be patient. Further, he stated,
we know what to do, we just need to do it, and we know how to do it. And we're doing it better than we used to, but every time a young adolescent walks into a classroom of a teacher with no special knowledge of that age group, nor how they should be teaching them, then I think it's almost a crime. It's a shame, to say the least. And so many people just don't understand that. It's like any teacher will do. Well, I'm getting on the soapbox here. But if we really want to change American education, including middle-level education, then the best way to do that is to help teachers be well prepared and knowledgeable. They already care about young people. They already have degrees. They're already smart persons. But just loving a kid is not enough. It's certainly important, but you need that special knowledge, including content knowledge, of course. You can't teach what you don't know, but just knowing the content alone is not enough.
In spite of these observations, that we have not come far enough, many participants did comment on progress in middle-level teacher education. Erb, Sue Swaim, and others discussed that during the transition to middle school education, we had a history in teacher education of having elementary teacher education programs that provided a general K-8 preparation, and secondary programs that focused on content area specialization.
John Swaim cited a study by Pomerantz in 1972 that found only 2 states that had any kind of state license or endorsement for middle-level education. During their interviews, McEwen and John Swaim cited Gaskell's research that shows we now have 46 states with some kind of middle-level teacher licensure. Certainly, this trend demonstrates progress. Sue Swaim also discussed the advocacy of the National Middle School Association in specialized middle-level teacher preparation.
The National Middle School Association's long-standing commitment to middle-level teacher preparation is important as well. When NMSA became a constituent member of NCATE and took over the responsibilities of writing the NMSA standards for teacher preparation at the pre-service, master's level, specialist, and doctorate level, it was a big step forward. Through our NCATE partnership and work, we have 30 states which now say that any college or university in their state preparing students to teach at the middle level must meet NMSA standards to receive state program approval.
John Swaim also noted that we are now beginning to have college majors who matriculated through quality middle schools themselves. They are intentionally entering middle-level teacher education programs, informed and influenced by their own experiences, and determined to provide a good experience for their own young adolescent students.
It is important to recognize that recently, specialized middle-level teacher preparation has suffered in the context of a compromised view of teacher education at all levels. George cautioned,
"We've got to find a way to save middle school teacher education. You know, you of course know that teacher education is under attack nationally and wholly. There are people in the national government and surrounding the national government who have found the favor of the national government, who would very much like to do away with teacher education, traditional teacher education as a whole, and they're making tremendous progress. They may win. So one of the battles we've got to fight right now is to hang on to as much of quality teacher education as we can. We've got to change a lot of the things we've done poorly because a lot of people don't support traditional teacher education. So fighting for middle school teacher education is a very important part of it.
in the spirit of middle school collaboration and teaming, perhaps an appropriate course of action in this context is to advocate for specialized middle-level teacher preparation in a system of quality specialized teacher preparation, a system that values the developmental stage for which teachers are prepared to work, as well as the content for which they are prepared to teach.
In addition, it would likely be wise to support a research agenda that provides data about our suspicions regarding the efficacy of specialized middle-level teacher programs. The success of our schools depends on the success of our teachers.
We have to focus on teacher preparation, and I know I'm pounding that, but I'm doing it, and I intend to do it, because once again, I believe if you really want to change schools and you change teachers, you know, who's making those daily decisions, minute by minute, or even second by second on some days, all year long. You know, if you think about some principals who are problems, in other words, well, you know, some principals who are problems, not all principals. I used to be a principal also, by the way, but where do those principals come from? In other words, what kind of preparation do they have? Well, if you have a middle school principal who's been a middle school teacher and taught on a team and really understands the school, it's more likely they're going to be supportive of what I would call an authentic middle school plan when they become principals. If we continue to hire people without middle-level knowledge, without middle-level experience, they may be very well intended, good persons who do care about kids and want to do a good job, but they may not know what to do. Also, it's good to have a really strong teaching force who understands what needs to happen and the middle school plan to be authentically and systematically applied so that when a new principal does come in, he or she can be trained quickly as far as what really needs to happen in the school if that person's not already knowledgeable.
The overall course of action, it seems, is to do whatever we can to support the training and preparation of all professionals, teachers, principals, counselors, who work with young adolescents in middle-level schools so that they will feel prepared, confident, and determined to have an impact. McEwen and Dickinson have often stated that any other approach is the equivalent of malpractice.